back to Beauty Marks Podcast. My name is Elizabeth Javillon, and thank you for joining me on another episode. Here we talk all about community, healing, and embracing our story. And if you haven't already, make sure to subscribe to this podcast and leave a review. All of that helps us to grow, and I'm just super thankful for each of you that listen weekly. Also, I'm here at High Hello Labs in downtown Orlando, and if you have any content creation, podcast production needs, and you want to start your own podcast, make sure to check them out, and they are amazing, and I love my studio here in downtown Orlando. On today's episode, I will be talking about if you want to build your own community or how do you even do that. Beauty Marks Podcast was something that I started as a way to, get the message out there through audio, like getting people in community virtually and people that they can connect through listening to the podcast. But She Cultivates was a community that was built in person, that was really bringing women together that want to build genuine connections and friendship. And last week we talked about, putting yourself out there, maybe some tips and tricks on how to do that and how to kind of get over the fear of doing that. But today, if you are someone that wants to do micro events or that maybe is like, hey, I see a need or I would like to create a space for this kind of community, like how did you start? And so I wanted to share a few tips and tricks that have helped me to kind of narrow that down, because there are so many groups out there that are amazing and there's so many ways to connect. But I think first with She Cultivates, I saw that there was a need in the friendship space. I definitely think that there were areas that I wanted to maybe do like just more activity focused, because I feel like when you're doing an activity that helps to break the ice, like I've shared before, like that kind of helps lower that tension because you're doing something. So that's an opportunity to, let's say you're doing a paint night, you can chat about it. Or if you're doing arts and crafts or you're doing some kind of hands-on activity that helps, or even a sport, if it's like pickleball or golf or tennis, that helps to kind of lower that anxiety because you guys are doing something, And so through that, I had some people that had kind of like the same alignment of like friendship, connection, encouragement. And so through that, that's where we brought all of our skills together to launch She Cultivates. And I know that I wouldn't be able to do it without the community that we do, because we do micro events. So micro events are definitely under 50, I would say. And that is something that it takes a lot of work to put on events. And in the beginning, we were just doing like kind of like trying to figure out what our thing was. And I feel like now we're very set on that. But how it started, I feel like, is having a common goal. Like, what do you want to do? Like, what is your goal? Is it that you want to connect entrepreneurs, or you want to connect creatives, or you want to connect photographers, or you want to get podcasters together, or you want to do a book club? Like, what is that for you? And know that you will start off small, and that's okay. Like starting off with 5 people, 8 people, that is great. Sometimes we want to do the numbers and the masses, but community and connection, I believe, is made in smaller spaces. So micro events to me is like what I love to do, because I feel like that's where people can actually genuinely connect. Even though you can have hundreds in a room, I think people are just more inclined to like open up and be more vulnerable in spaces that are 10, 20 people versus the hundreds, And so I feel like once you find your interest and you put it, figure out like, what do you want to do? Is it that you want to do a weekly or a monthly? And like, who are you trying to get to? Is it people in their 20s? Is it singles? Is it married? Is it moms? Like, who are you trying to target that to? Because from there, you also see the realistic availability. So especially when you're doing group stuff, I would say unless it's like a 6 to 8 week commitment, that is a lot for some people. Sometimes it's hard to meet weekly. So maybe it's twice a month, or maybe it's monthly. Maybe it's a Bible study that you want to start and you're like, hey, like let's start twice a month and see what works, having like a set day and a plan of how long it's going to be. If it's going to be like an hour or 2 hours, if it's going to be that you meet up at a local run club every Sunday, that's like set, in stone. And of course, are people going to come and go? Yes. But just knowing like what your why is and what the topic is so important. Once you have that, then I feel like once you know who and what you want to do, setting a location and a realistic location based on how many people you want to do. Again, I think that we sometimes minimize the small beginnings, but I think that's so important. So it's good that you start with 5 to 8 people max, because also the space. So let's say you're meeting at a coffee shop. Realistically, coffee shops can be busy. So you might not be able to meet every single week or, X amount of days per week at a coffee shop during their busy hours. So you might have to scale back, or maybe it's a community club, or maybe it's outdoors. I mean, here in Florida, it's a little bit hard to do it outdoors right now during the summer, but maybe in the fall time. So having a place or a set space that's consistent, I feel like also helps, and a set time that's consistent. And then the next part is the promo. So maybe it's to the people first that that you're like, hey, would you be interested in something like this? And if they say yes, be like, hey, I would love to invite you to this. And if it's like you have no people around you that would be interested, then it's putting it on your social media. Maybe it's joining a Facebook group of the interest, like how we said about maybe it's women that are looking for friendships, or moms in blank city, putting that promo out there and being like, hey, I would love to start this. So if any of you guys are interested, please DM me and I will send you the information. I feel like having a clear vision and kind of like alignment of what you're going to do is so important, because especially if you're trying to get people that have never met you, I think it is so important to be like, in my opinion, to do things well and professional, meaning like you have a structure of what are you guys are gonna do. Maybe you have like an icebreaker in the beginning, or you have name tags for everybody so everybody knows who they are, or you have some kind of like activity that you do so that there's a flow to it. So it's not like everyone is just like sitting there like awkwardly. Probably the first one isn't going to flow as good. You're kind of setting the foundation, or what the expectations are of the group, and like what you would like to see. But I think it's so important to have that laid out beforehand, and then you learn and you adjust as you go. But I think that I've been to groups, or I've been to different meetups where it's kind of like everyone's a little lost of like what's happening, what are we all doing here? And I think that's when you might not have that consistency of people like wanting to come. But I feel like when they know expectations and you set the culture, because it is so important that you set the culture and the vibe that you want to see and create. So if you want it to be more laid back, then you start that setting up that tone. If you want to be like, hey, like we wear our sweats together, or we go walk outside in our leggings, that is something. Versus if you want to do a dinner party, if you want to host dinner parties that are dress up, then you set that standard, So however you want it to be, and who you're trying to get to is so important, because then that will attract and bring those people. And again, that can change and modify, and being okay to change based on how you see it go. I think that for us, for our group, and it is a little different now because of the scale of what we do. But in the beginning, I think that I was like, oh, like doing monthly events is not too hard. And it's definitely a lot of work. It is not easy. Especially because most people, like, again, like have other commitments, things come up, like especially if financial, if people have to pay to go to certain events, then that's even a different level. And sometimes we also think that just because it's free, more people are going to come, and I would disagree. I think that sometimes people commit, even it's a $5 fee as you grow, or like $10 fee or something like that. So just kind of putting that in mind of like making sure you're whatever your covered costs are going to be. And sometimes, especially when we're starting something like a group or something, like we want to be like the most, at least that's what I was trying to do. I was trying to like do the most, give free things, and sometimes remember what people are going for. So when you're putting on like a micro event, or you're getting women together, just know that like they're coming for whatever you're putting out there. So if you're like, hey, like this is going to be a book club, they're coming for the book. Do they need to have like dinners paid for by you, or do they need to have like martinis? Probably not. Like that is not the what that thing is for, unless you're putting it out there like martinis and books, then that's what they would go for. So it's like, know that people go for whatever you want to, whatever the main goal is that you're trying to do. So if you're trying to build friendships, So that means that the main thing that they're going for is for the conversations and the connections that they're going to make. It's really not about the activity that you're doing. If they are doing business networking, that means that they want to either learn tools about business or be around entrepreneurs. That's the goal that you're trying to do. So just being intentional about what you do, because I feel like in the beginning I was trying to do a lot, and then I was like a little, we were trying to figure it out as we went along, because there were so many things that we wanted to do. And just know that it's okay to start small and grow versus giving this like big expectation in the beginning and then you can't deliver that. So that is something that I learned over time. And so once you have that and you promo it and you get the people going, then once you meet up with people, then you follow up, you engage with them, you connect with them, you get their social or you get their phone number, or you create a group where you guys can connect and share, or if you're trying to like start your own community, then it's like you make a community group, through that. And so I feel like people connect with people. And so even when you're in those rooms or you're hosting, you sharing first and you kind of setting that tone is so important. Sometimes it's like you want everyone to feel so open because maybe that's your personality, but know that people all have different personalities that come to your group or that are coming, and knowing how to speak to them in the way that they do, and knowing that it's going to take people a little bit to warm up and to feel comfortable, within the group. So it's not that the first day everyone's going to click and it's going to be perfect and like, it's, I would say it's very rare to have that consistently. And so with anything, like just know like what your goal is, what you're trying to do. And just know that if you have a message, like, and you feel like the need that you're like, I want to start this because you see that need, do it. Like you would be surprised how many people want and need and will love to be a part of your community, because people are looking for connection and people are looking for people to connect with. So just know that once you have that plan, then just put it out there. And even again, if it's less than 5 people, even if it's 2 people, it's a start, and you're getting maybe like content from it, and you're like sharing it on your social media, and you're like, hey, like if you're interested and would like to do this, then, join our group. That was something with our entrepreneurs, that within She Cultivates, even though it's friendship, we had a lot of entrepreneurs come. And I hosted like a coffee shop hangout, like a networking with like 6 other girls one day, and I invited them like personally, and we all met up, and I posted on my social media, and there was a few girls that wrote me and they're like, hey, would love to join one, let me know when you do it again. And so I was like, okay, clearly there's someone like a few people that are interested in that. And so now we have them every quarter that we do networking business small group meetups. And same with our mom group. So in the beginning, we were like, okay, like there's a mom group niche, and so let's start doing that. And so the moms would meet up, and then they're like, hey, we'd love to do a play date. So now we're doing a play date. There was salsa, like because some girls wanted to do salsa, and it's like, okay, like let's all meet up and go, So if you see that there's like an interest or a need, that's a great way to make, like, to start kind of getting ideas of what you would like to do, and, putting it out there. And also remember to be authentic and to be yourself, and to, even though you might see other groups that are doing something or you're like, oh my God, like that looks great. Like it's okay to, you don't have to do exactly what other people do. Maybe it's making it your own. Maybe it's figuring out your own culture and what works for you. Maybe you're someone that loves to ask a lot of questions, or maybe you're someone that likes to write things out or have visuals, or maybe have printouts for everybody, or maybe it's all digital, or maybe it's more like at your house that you want to open your house to people, like do whatever works for you. But build that community. If you have that desire to do it, and you will see in time it will grow. And so if actually I wanted to put it out there that I will be doing little 30-minute sessions if you are interested in having your own community. And I will put all the information down below, and I am doing 30-minute sessions with people that if you want to do a micro event or you're trying to start your own community and would love to connect with other people. I feel like by now I have had a lot of experience in this, and I love hosting people. I love hosting events, and I love building that community within Orlando. And so if you are interested, you can book a call with me and we can chat. So I hope this is helpful to you. I feel like this is a great like start before you go and do it. And I believe in you. And I definitely think that if you have something and a dream in your heart to do it because you never know what can come out of it. And if this has helped you in any way, make sure to subscribe to this podcast, leave a review, and I will see you guys next week.